Russia Tomorrow.
Vladimir Putin insists that the goal of his special military operation has never changed, but it obviously has. On February 24, Putin started the war and called for demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine. The occupation of Ukrainian territory does not enter into our planning, he said back then. And it's obvious why he said it. Back then, his plan was clear: to remove Zelenskyy and place a puppet regime in Kyiv in just a few days. 9.5 months later, the narrative has completely changed.
Вы, значит, упомянули о том, что появились новые территории. Ну вот, и такой все-таки значимый результат для России. Это серьезный вопрос. Значит, ну чего ж там греха таить. И Азовское море стало внутренним морем Российской Федерации. Это серьезная вещь.
Putin began this war amid slogans of liberation of Ukraine from Nazis. But now it has turned into an ordinary, aggressive colonial war. Putin is losing. His military has not won a battle since early summer. His elite have stopped understanding what this war is about and what comes next. And Putin wants to show them at least some kind of result. And likewise, the language of government propaganda has changed. In March, it was all about how the time has come to liberate our Ukrainian brothers from the Nazi rule. But the more resistance Russia's military met on the battlefield, the more propaganda began to label all Ukrainians as Nazis. Soon, it turned out that all Ukrainians are a Nazified population, as propaganda openly claimed, and would have to be cured of this disease. This is what one of the Russian propagandists wrote in April.
However, in addition to those at the top, the significant proportion of the population that are passive Nazis and accomplices of Nazis are also guilty. They supported and appeased the Nazi government.
But now, everything is different. For the past 2 months, Russia has simply been bombing cities, destroying energy infrastructure, plunging Ukrainians into cold and darkness. Nothing is being said anymore about denazification. The Kremlin is simply terrorizing Ukraine, trying to force Zelenskyy to agree to peace on Russia's conditions. Ukrainians are now hostages. The Kremlin makes it very clear.
Ukraine's leadership has every opportunity to resolve the situation in such a way as to fulfill the requirements of the Russian side and, accordingly, stop all kinds of suffering for the local population.
Previously, the Kremlin hid the fact that its goal was to cause Ukrainians harm. Propaganda lied and denied any accusations. Now it openly celebrates and even boasts, explaining how difficult the life has become for the Ukrainians. And ever since the bombings began, parliamentaries and officials openly admit their goal is to make Ukrainians suffer.
Отсутствие электроэнергии – это отсутствие воды, отсутствие холодильников элементарных, отсутствие канализации. И город Киев через неделю после отсутствия электричества заплывет в дерьме, извиняюсь за выражение, с явной угрозой эпидемии.
This was 1 month ago. Since then, 50% of the energy infrastructure of Ukraine has been destroyed. Today, millions have access to electricity for just 2 or 3 hours a day. People are adapting to such a life. In nearly every family home, there are flashlights, generators, power banks, food is cooked on gas stoves or homemade barbecues, and Russia's propaganda makes fun of it and mocks this. It shows joy in the sufferings of the Ukrainians with jokes and laughter.
Генерировать медиа-идеи Украине, видимо, будет все сложнее, потому что для этого нужно хотя бы генерировать электричество. С этим проблемы. Быт украинца сейчас в целом выглядит вот так. Зарядка телефонов в магазинах, ужин при свечах, почти романтично, но вот только еду таким образом разогревать придется около часа. А вот мужчина вынужден бриться рядом с банкоматом. В пабликах шутят, вот, мол, когда свидание через 30 минут. Другой пример. Так можно и без волос остаться, если сушить голову над газовой плитой. И это в лучшем случае. На лентах новостей все больше сообщений об отравлении угарным газом. Вот журналист пишет, в селе Белогородка девушка неправильно использовала генератор. Теперь в больнице. Его вообще нельзя оставлять на ночь, да еще и в подвале. Там же никакой вентиляции. Это уже получается смерти генераторы какие-то.
Or take a look at this parliamentary who plucked his wish from a postcard on a Christmas tree.
Мальчик Вова из Киева мечтает о ракетах. Вова, ты получишь ракеты, жди. Это шутка, конечно, такая, без комментариев.
In the course of this war, hatred towards Ukraine has become normalized. In November, Dmitry Medvedev spoke of cockroaches bred in the Kyiv insectarium, unconsciously parroting the propaganda cliches of the free radio and television of the Thousand Hills in Rwanda, whose broadcasts in 1994 were the background conversations while at least 500,000 Tutsis were murdered in the streets, one of the most terrifying genocides in human history. And in the 10th month of war, even ordinary television employees, normal people who read news on the air, have stopped seeing Ukrainians as human. They have simply lost the difference between good and evil.
TV Rain has started broadcasting in English so that you could get news about Russia, the war in Ukraine, and Russian society directly from the source.
Russia's military is unable to stop Ukrainian forces.
The Kremlin's newest propaganda target is now the LGBT community.
TV Rain channel has been shut down in Russia many times. The last one happened at the beginning of March, when the war started.
Мы временно приостанавливаем работу телеканала.
We survived, started working from Europe, and now we are watched by millions of people every day, for whom we are the only TV station that tells the truth about the war. Subscribe to our English channel TV Rain Newsroom on YouTube.